Joining me now is Damien Galotti, who will be taking on Jon Rivera next for the vacant 155 title on August the 16th at Combat Zone 89. Damien, it is right around the corner, man. I'm excited for this fight. You and Jon, it should be an absolute banger. I first just want to start with, it's been a little while since we've seen you compete last. It's been over a year layoff that you've had. So I'm just curious why. Did you have an injury or just be taking a little time and stepping away from combat sports?
Yeah, so I did have an injury as the result of my last fight. I won that fight, but I broke my hand in the process. So that set me back a little bit, but it's fully recovered now. So ready to get back in there.
How did that injury affect you in the fight? I know you got the victory, but did it happen early or was it late?
Yeah, it actually happened in the first round. I think I landed it on his just below his eye, and it broke as a result of that. I mean, not that I could really tell during the fight. I mean, you got so much adrenaline going, right? So, I was able to keep fighting through it, and it wasn't until afterwards I realized that, my hand was pretty busted up.
Okay, geez. So, how long were you unable to train after that?
It wasn't too bad. I was in the cast for about a month. And then, it was another couple months after that before I was, able to start punching with it again.
And that obviously was your split decision victory at Cage Titans. You fought for Combat Zone once before. That was a RNC victory you got. How do you feel just about the progression of your career so far, just 2 fights in?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think I'm getting better each time I get in there. Definitely more comfortable the more that I'm in there. I think that's the biggest component, is just being comfortable underneath the lights. A lot of people, that's probably the biggest obstacle to overcome. You can do well training and you can do well on your own, but when it comes to game time, are you a pressure guy? And I think I'm definitely getting better at that by this point.
Did you notice a big difference in your nerves before your first fight versus your second, or is it still pretty comparable?
They were about the same. To be honest with you, even before my first fight, I wasn't all that nervous. I think just because I've been there before in different capacities, whether it's competing in high school sports or other stuff, as well. One of the other things I like to do is play music, actually. So I think playing music in front of people actually, oddly enough, helps a lot with the pressure.
I can just imagine. So what kind of music? What kind of a musician are you?
I play guitar and I sing. So I'll play local bars. I was actually playing a local festival a few weeks ago. So I'll play all types of music, mostly older stuff. I like a lot of Johnny Cash, folk stuff, Jim Croce, things along those lines. But yeah, it's usually just a one-man show. It's just me and my guitar going. So.
That's cool. Have you ever thought about, taking a run at that, maybe going on American Idol or something like that?
Oddly enough, I just came back from a cruise not too long ago, and one of the main attractions on the ship was karaoke night. So I was there just about every time, and everybody's like, oh, you got to try this, you got to do that, or whatever. So, maybe in the future I'll think about it, but my focus is on the fight right now. So. That's number one priority.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let me ask you this though. This is probably an unfair question, but if you were forced to choose fighting or music, do you have a love for one more than the other, or is it just kind of depends on the day?
Oh, fighting was definitely, or combat sports in general, I would say, was definitely my first love, first passion there. But as time goes on, I picked up playing music when I was in college. So just kind of taught myself to play guitar, and then, singing came as a progression out of that. There's definitely more longevity in, in the music, I would say. But I really appreciate them both for different reasons. It's kind of like a yin yang, I would say. One kind of balances out the other. And they actually play off of each other in a lot of ways. I feel like, one kind of complements the other, helps each other in ways you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, I can totally see that. So how old are you now?
I'm 26.
26. Okay, so you're still very very young. What's your background in combat sports? Like when did you start? What Tell me a little bit more just about you as a fighter and everything that you've done previously.
Yeah, well, I wrestled in high school, you know, there, and then once I got to college, I started doing some jujitsu, things along those lines. Did a handful of tournaments, and then once I got out of college, that's when I really started to put it all together, do the MMA, things like that. And I train out of South Shore Sport Fighting in Rockland, Massachusetts. So that's really where I've done most of my MMA training and just been putting it together from that point.
So do you have goals long term, or like do you want to make it to the UFC and go as far as you can there? Like what do you envision long term for yourself?
Yeah, I just take it one fight at a time, to be honest with you. Um, I give it my 100%, all my effort, everything's going into there. I'm really kind of a go with the flow kind of guy. So I'll take opportunities as they come to me. And as long as I keep winning, I'll keep going. So I'll just, I'm, opportunities come, I'll take it and take it from there.
Is it kind of crazy? Like you've only had two fights, three fights in now. You're fighting for a title. That's pretty awesome, right? Is it surprising for you?
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. It's really cool. I'm excited to be doing it, and I think it's really cool. Uh, I would say, yeah, maybe it's not too surprising. I mean, I've been doing two pretty well, so um, I've seen other guys that have fought for a title. There's one guy in my gym that was 2-0, fought for a title. So I'm not totally taken off, but I definitely appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You said you played sports growing up too. Like what kind of team sports did you play?
So in high school, I was a cross country runner in the fall, and then we'd wrestle in the winter, and then rugby in the spring. So rugby was really interesting and actually parallels with wrestling in a lot of respects. There's a lot of crossover. It was funny when I was playing rugby, we'd probably have like half of our wrestling team turn out for the rugby team. So, and actually, like a rugby tackle is much more akin to a wrestling takedown than a football tackle. So, I'm glad I was able to do that and kind of gain some experience from there.
What kind of a player were you in rugby? I'm not familiar with the sport. Is there like a certain position that you played more than the others?
Yeah, yeah, and frankly, when I go back and watch rugby, even now, I'm still kind of wondering what's going on exactly. I don't know how the rules work entirely. All I know is that when you don't know what to do, just go hit somebody, which is fine enough. I was a 7 when I was playing rugby, which is a flanker position. That's kind of like a so there's two sides on the rugby team. There's forwards who are like usually the bigger guys who are doing like the rocks and doing those big like pushes that you might see. And then there's the backs, the guys who run outside and are looking to get a try, which is same thing as a touchdown essentially. So a 7's like right in the middle. They're like a hybrid between a back and a forward essentially. So which kind of suited my makeup, I would say, because I can kind of play both. Can be quick and is strong if I need to be.
Like a jack of all trades, man. Uh,
Exactly.
do you work on top of training? Like what does your daily schedule look like now?
Yeah, so I do work. I have a job selling elevators. Yeah, it's it's a business with its ups and downs, as we say. But yeah, that's kind of like my standard 9 to 5 right there. Um, and then usually after that I'll be doing my training and especially with this fight coming up, that's where most of my time outside of work is going.
So how does that work with selling elevators? Like I would imagine that's quite an expensive endeavor if a business wants to put an elevator in. How do you guys have like businesses that will reach out that you kind of get tips? So okay, I can go into this office, or are you just kind of cold calling?
Yeah, so the our business operates well. One, you can sell the elevator itself, installations, but most of our business actually comes from selling maintenance and repair services, modernization
Okay.
services. If it's an older elevator, which is a really cool aspect of the business. Actually, I'm a history guy myself. I love reading about old stuff and You can go into these buildings and see elevators that are still in there from like the 1920s, that might need to be updated. So that's a really cool aspect of it. But that's kind of like the whole aspect of our business there. So when we're selling it, we're usually selling all those different things.
Okay, very cool. I've been in an elevator a million times during my life. Once it paused and I thought I was going to be stuck there. How often does that happen? Is that something that's just like a freak occurrence?
And entrapment, yeah,
Yeah,
we,
terrifying to think about.
yeah, yeah. We usually get like a few of those calls each day, so it's probably it's a little more common than you think.
Okay, I'm officially taking the stairs everywhere I go.
Yeah, but be glad that you live in America because we have a lot of standards to make sure that the elevator doesn't crash or anything like that. If you, seriously, if you get a free second, look up like elevator disaster videos in China or like Bangladesh or something because they have no standards for repairing elevators and keeping them up to date. So it can be pretty dangerous if you're not on top of it.
Holy smokes. Yeah, that does sound terrifying. I'll have to go on YouTube and look that up. And again, I'm never going in an elevator again. Tell me, man, you with camp, obviously, at South Shore, you got a bunch of killers around you. What is it like typically with, certain training partners? Does that change day to day, or do you have like specific looks that you get depending on your opponent?
Yeah, so I'm very lucky to be training at South Shore Sport Fighting for sure. We've had, as you were saying, we've got killers that come out of there. We've had a couple guys go to the UFC in the past out of that gym, so a lot of tough guys for sure. There are a few guys that are usually regulars there that I'll train with, but I'll mix it up with everybody. Just get all different kinds of looks to kind of run the gambit, make sure I'm not missing anything in terms of my game, where people might be able to expose weaknesses, and then I can work on it from there. So yeah, just a good group of guys that come in, all different types of experience levels, but something to learn from everybody for sure.
How big do you typically get? What is that weight cut like for you to get to 55? It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's not terrible. Probably like 10 pounds or so. So, which isn't fun, but it's doable. So,
So if it's only like 10 pounds, do you think later on down the line, like if you continue to have success and maybe turn pro, you would go down and fight at featherweight?
that could be a possibility for sure. Yeah, it would probably make more sense, especially especially if it was like a full-time job. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you get a lot of working with JoJo?
Uh, yeah, I haven't seen him in around there lately, actually. So,
Yeah.
no,
He
I
just
haven't.
Okay, but he still does train there, right? Like he's still like because he's been like a staple there for a while.
Yeah, he'll like occasionally pop in now, but I haven't seen him around there too recently, as a matter of fact.
Okay. What about I know Johnny Campbell trains there, right? Is he
Yeah.
still one of like the main guys?
Yep, Johnny's in there all the time. I'll train with him. I think he just recently hurt his shoulder in his last fight, though, so he might be out for a little bit.
Okay. Well, hopefully he'll get healed back up and back in there again soon. Any other teammates fighting on this specific card?
I'm the only one.
You're the only
Yeah.
one. Do you like
So
that, or do you kind of wish maybe there's a couple other guys that were going to be making the walk there the same night?
yeah, it doesn't bother me. I think yeah, my past two fights, I was also the only person from South Shore fighting, so not something that I'm a stranger to, I guess. I don't mind having the spotlight on me, representing South Shore sport fighting, so not a problem for me. And of course, I got my friends and my family and everybody that will come to watch me, so support is not an issue.
Well, let's talk about that. That was another question I had about like support in the building. How many tickets have you sold? How many people do you think are going to be there come fight night to watch you potentially win this title?
Oh, it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show. I got all types of people coming. I got my family. I got my friends. I got people from South Shore that'll be coming. On top of that, I got people that I play music with that'll be coming. So, it's definitely a large gambit of people that'll be showing up and giving me support, which I'm very grateful for.
Who will be your corners come fight night?
It's going to be Bill Mahoney and Ryan White will be in my corners. They've been in my corners for the past two fights, and I'm love having them there. Bill is somebody that's been around the fight game for a long time, and he knows the ins and outs. Always gives very analytical and very good advice on how to handle situations, especially in the middle of a fight. And then Ryan's great for the same reasons. So, yeah, it'll be good to have them there.
Yeah, it's a great corner to have. And obviously with you being a musician, I got to ask, man, like the walkout song is important. So do you
Yeah.
typically walk down to the same song or you changing it up? What is your thought process for this one?
Yeah, so it'll be the same song that I've done for my last two fights. It's probably one you haven't heard of. It's called "Stupid" by Snot, and "Stupid" is spelled with two O's,
Okay.
right? So it's like a '90s rap metal song. Kind of like Rage Against the Machine, but a little different. So,
Okay.
but if you listen to it, you're gonna want to like punch your head through a wall.
Okay, I like it. Well, does that get you jacked up? Is this like the song when you think, okay, I got to get in like the mode to go in there and fight? Like, is this the song that you just think of all the time?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a metalhead at heart, so I love listening to that stuff, and it always gets me going.
I love it, man. Well, let's talk a little bit about Jon Rivera, shall we? He said, in the past, a lot of fighters will talk about his age, and he doesn't feel like he's older or anything. But with you being a little bit younger, do you think that could come into play here? Do you think he's someone that might not be in his prime? Like, what are your thoughts on like age when it comes to fighting?
Yeah, so that's not something I take into consideration too much. I know he is older than me. That has its benefits and its cons. So I'm going to expect him to be very tough, very strong. Definitely once you get to that point, you've probably accumulated a lot of strength. So that's definitely something I can count on. But overall, I'm going in there, and I have my opponent for sure. But my main thing is like, I'm going in there, fighting with myself at the end of the day. I'm pushing myself as hard as I can, and you know, whatever happens, win, lose, draw, I got nobody to blame but myself. So I see it as more of like a battle with myself than more than anything. Of course, I watch my opponent. I see what he does. It's like a chess match for sure. But I'm pushing myself, and I'm seeing what the best is I can do.
I hear a lot of people say the fight game is like 90% mental, 10% physical. What's your thoughts when you hear that?
I would agree with that. Um, is what's going to give out first? Is the body going to give out first, or is the spirit going to give out first? Do you have what it takes to push yourself to that next level if need be? So I would have to agree with that sentiment for sure. Because a lot of guys, when the going gets rough, they might fold under the pressure. I don't think I'm one of those people for sure. Um, but I'd have to agree with you there.
All right. Well, I was fortunate enough to commentate John's most recent fight. It was a UD win at Combat Zone 88 over Zach Hamilton, I believe. Did you watch that? Like, what are your thoughts of him as a fighter and like what he brings to the table?
Yeah. So he's definitely a wrestler, definitely a wrestler, which you have to respect. Wrestling is definitely the strongest base that you can have for MMA by far. It just makes you strong, quick, mat awareness, body positioning, everything along those lines. So I'll expect him to, know how to wrestle for sure, and also be very strong. So that's what I'm going to be on the lookout for, and I'm going to try and counter that with some of my strengths. I think I can be quicker than him, so we'll see where it goes from there.
Just listening to you talk, it makes me feel like it could be like a bull versus a matador type of a fight. Is that accurate to say? Do you think you're the matador to his bull?
Yeah, that could be a potential outcome of the fight. That could be a way it plays out. But also, I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to try and flow. I'm going to try and adapt to the situations. I don't want to try and go in there with too much of a one-track mind.
Do you expect this to be a long fight? Do you think this could go the distance, or do you envision maybe clipping him, finishing him early? Like, what are your thoughts as far as an outcome goes?
Yeah, it very well could. I hope I finish in 30 seconds, but I'll be prepared for 5 rounds.
Is there a certain area you feel like you hold are going to hold a big advantage? Is it just the speed? Is that where you feel like you're going to be able to kind of get the better of them?
I think probably my height would be a good advantage for me. I think I'll have a number of inches on him, so um, that'll be an advantage that I'll have to play to. But also, you have to be careful with it because that can be a disadvantage too. Somebody shorter can have lower center of gravity. So, pros and cons to everything. You got to weigh it out and play it to your advantage.
How tall are you?
5'11".
Do you know your reach?
Uh, yeah. What is it? It's like something about your wingspan or something akin to that. That's probably like I don't know,
Yeah.
70, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They take it like from your tip to tip, and like you just put your arms out like that, and that's what it's supposed to be. I know mine is 70. I
Mhm.
so I don't think that's very good for like a welterweight or above. I think if you're like 70, you should be like lightweight or lower. So
Right.
I don't know what yours is.
hmm Yeah, probably around there. Maybe
Yeah.
70.
Okay. All right, man. I'm excited to see you in there. And again, like Damien, what would this mean to win this title, to bring it back home to South Shore Sport Fighting? Like, can you just kind of sum it up the significance for you personally if you do go in there and win this?
Yeah, so this would be a tremendous achievement for me, and I'm always trying to push myself to that next level in any endeavor that I do. I'm always looking for a challenge, and I'm always looking to make myself better. Winning that title would be, one of the greatest achievements that I've had so far. Um, so I'll be hungry for it. I'm looking for it, and I'll be ready to go for sure.
Can't wait to watch, man. August 16th. It can't get here soon enough. Combat Zone 89. The vacant lightweight title is on the line. Damien Galotti meets Jon Rivera. I appreciate you doing this, man. Great to chat with you here for the first time. Before we do sign off, I want to give you the floor. If you have any sponsors you want to thank or just anyone in general that you want to give a shout out to, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't have any sponsors quite yet, but probably thanks to my family, especially being there, giving me support, giving me food, and of course my coaches, all the coaches I've had that have been able to teach me the skill, teach me the discipline necessary to participate in something like this.